Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. So before we get into it, let me go ahead and just put some of you at rest here. This is going to be completely spoiler free. Anything that we talk about here is just going to be, general impressions about how I felt about the movie. Some certain plot points and footage that we're going to be discussing. It's already stuff you've already seen in the trailers. But if you feel like that's too much of a spoiler, just go ahead, turn this off, go see the movie, come on back, and then we'll discuss it. So let's begin. I think this is an amazing Batman movie. It's probably my favorite Batman movie that I've ever seen to date. Hey, Spot. You see me trying to do this review. You're just gonna leave that right there? I'm gonna punch you. Literally the best parts about this movie all belong to Batman, okay? Ben Affleck has come through for me, and he has nailed it, all right? He is now officially the best Batman ever put to film. We can fight about that, and I'm totally willing to do that. They get to explore avenues of this character that we've never really seen put to film. When you've kind of gotten different shades of sort of the same character that you have in previous Batman films, it's really refreshing. I really appreciated that. It's my favorite part about this film. If nothing else, people should go see this movie for Batman. Get in line now, right now. I really do think that Zack Snyder is the natural successor to Christopher Nolan, and I mean that in the sense that they both have visual aesthetics that are really well suited to the Batman character. To see his style applied to Batman, yeah, why did we not do this sooner? I'm kind of mad that they didn't make just a solo Batman film. Speaking of the aesthetics, say what you will about Zack Snyder, he does know how to make extremely gorgeous movies. One of the very first scenes of this movie, and you've seen this in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, but it's the Bruce Wayne origin story, the night that he loses his parents. And as it begins, in my mind, I was like, if I've got to see Thomas and Martha Wayne be shot yet again, I get it. There's only 3 people in all the comic books that stay dead, and 2 of those are Bruce Wayne's parents. I get it. But I gotta tell you, as that scene actually played out, I was caught off guard by how gorgeous it was. That scene with Bruce Wayne running into the rubble of Metropolis while Zod and Superman are fighting overhead, you understand that Bruce Wayne, he's not so caught up in being Bruce Wayne, the public persona, that he forgets what makes him Batman, which I really do love. I've always hated that huge disconnect between Bruce Wayne and Batman. It's like there has to be someone in the middle connecting those two personas, and here you see that in that Metropolis scene. If Bruce Wayne had never become Batman, you understand that Bruce Wayne himself would still be a person with an immense amount of courage and bravery. One of the things that becomes really obvious after you've seen a few Zack Snyder films, those flaws, those choices that he has a fondness for, yeah, they're still here. Those non-existent abrupt transitions, still here. The good ideas that always seem to come off a little shaky in their execution, yep, that shaky execution really shines through when it comes to this movie's subplots. There were some secondary plot lines that were there just for the sake of including secondary and sometimes even tertiary characters, and it was like, why do we even care about this? And the fact was, we didn't care about it. We just wanted to get back to Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. There's this really great line from Josie and the Pussycats, and there's this line where they look at this one character who really has no reason to be there, and they're like, why are you here? And she goes, it's because I was in the comics. And I feel like at any moment Amy Adams should have just been like, oh, it's because I was in the comics, that's why I'm here. It was just kind of like, why are you here? What is happening? Just show me more Batman. Why is this not a Batman movie? That being said, I do like this cast. I even like Jesse Eisenberg, and you gotta hear me out.
Bruce Wayne meets Clark Kent. I love it.
I like the choice that Jesse Eisenberg makes to play off his exaggerated, corny, annoying persona as a facade, as something to hide his sociopathic tendencies. Of course, Lex Luthor, as the face of LexCorp, isn't going to be the menacing douchebag that we would want him to be. Who, me? Little old Lex Luthor? No, possibly not. I'm just here to be this annoying millionaire douchebag. I liked it, but I understand why people wouldn't. Which is kind of like my feelings about the movie as a whole. As I'm watching it, I'm thinking, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. However, I completely and totally understand if people don't like this movie. 100%. I get it. I understand it. Any argument, any justification, anything like that, I'd be like, yeah, you're right. One of those reasons is because I wondered if I liked it so much because I'm so familiar with the subject matter, because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine and I was telling her how much I enjoyed movies that didn't feel the need to explain every little thing to me. This movie is definitely guilty of that. Me, myself, because I know the characters as well as I do, because I've been reading comics as long as I've had, because I'm so obsessed with Wonder Woman as I am, I liked that part. I liked that they didn't really stop and they just went ahead and jumped into the action. I wonder if I would be able to enjoy this if I was a civilian. Another thing that also stuck out to to me was they made some bold choices with some of these characters. They knew that some of the choices that they were going to make weren't going to be universally loved. They knew that. They had to. I mean, there's no way around that. They just decided, we have these characters, we're going to go ahead and make a choice, and we're doing it and we're sticking with it. I kind of respect that because I would much rather have something interesting to discuss as opposed to just something disappointing because it was so safe and obvious. In such a saturated superhero movie market, especially with characters like Batman and Superman, who are the two most adapted comic book characters of all time. I mean, they've had movies, TV shows, comic books. I mean, there's multiple versions of these specific characters out there. And at this point, especially in their film versions, I would much rather have an interesting interpretation of them as opposed to a strict reiteration of them. This movie had a very tall order to fill. It needed to be a sequel to Men of Steel, reintroduce a new Batman, the first live-action film version of Wonder Woman, set up the new Justice League movie, also create interest in that Wonder Woman movie coming out in 2017. This movie had to do a lot of things. I don't think it did all of them, but frankly, it did enough to get me excited for what's going to come down the pipeline. I am excited to see Justice League. I am excited to see Wonder Woman. I'm very intrigued as to how this is all going to play out. This is going to be one of those movies that we talk about. It's not just going to be something that we universally love and just say, I love this, I love it too, end of conversation. No, it's going to be something that we debate about. It's going to be something that we argue about. Listen, there are movies that I'm more than willing to go ahead and say, you know what, you should just never see that movie. It's a complete, total waste of your time. Don't do it. This isn't one of those movies. I definitely think you should go see it and definitely figure out how you feel about it. And I think a lot of that sort of rests upon your own expectations, your own relationships to those characters. There are going to be things that you like about this movie. There are going to be things that you don't like about this movie. But I think what's going to differ from person to person are those varying degrees of how much you liked or didn't like those aspects of the movies. Yeah, so like, comment below, subscribe, do whatever it is that you feel the need to do. Please be on the lookout for my spoiler review, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay, love you, bye!